G'day and welcome to episode 153 of Trent365. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of May. Looking for a cure for loneliness? Rent a family. That's how they do it in Japan. There's an article in the New Yorker recently about this concept of renting a family. And it tells the story of a particular guy whose wife had died. He had a fight with his daughter and became estranged from her. So in a fairly quick succession, he's gone from being a family man to being all alone. And so he basically has gone to a company and hired a woman, an actor essentially, I guess, to play the role of his wife, and another woman to play the role of his daughter. And whilst initially they very much played the role of those people, of his wife and his daughter, over time it talks about how they took on their own personas and basically became their own persons, and they started talking about their own real life family situations outside of this role of essentially playing the role of this guy's family. And interestingly enough, it even talks about how these actors essentially have helped this guy reunite with his daughter by helping him understand the perspective of his daughter, because he's now sitting opposite someone who is the same age and essentially the same type of person as his daughter was. So it's an interesting concept. It's not one that I've really heard much about, and I think probably some people would be sitting back here saying it's kind of a bit weird, maybe even a bit creepy. But the idea of hiring escorts, not just for sexual purposes, but as companions for, go to a movie, to go to dinners or whatever, that's not so foreign to us. So maybe it's not such a stretch to think that the idea of hiring a family will become kind of an acceptable thing in other parts of society as well. Not quite sure yet. There's no doubt that loneliness is becoming an increasingly big concern in a lot of societies around the world. So as we become more and more lonely, perhaps this idea of renting a family might just take off. What do you think? That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can follow along on You can follow along on the Google Play Store. You can follow along on Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, a bunch of other places. Or just follow along on the social streams. And I'll be back again tomorrow. See ya.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.